So I was trying to do something pretty important yesterday, and instead I got very distracted very quickly, and I found this 22-page untitled document in my Google Drive. I don't know where it came from. I don't remember saving it. It says I did in 2017 at like 2 a.m. I copied and pasted this 22-page paper into my Google Drive. I don't know what it is, but I started reading it. It's got a title like in the document. It says, "Bringing Up Children: Comparisons of Child Rearing, Childbirth, Infanticide, Weaning, and Birth Interval, On-Demand Nursing, Infant-Adult Contact, Fathers and Allo Parents, Responses to Crying, Infants, Physical Punishment, Child Autonomy, Multi-Age Playgroups, Child Play and Education, Their Kids and Our Kids, Comparisons of Child Rearing," which is obviously straight up my alley. Parenting in different cultures and stuff, and different ways to go about it. I'm always talking about that. If you know me, then you know that's a lie. But I found it interesting anyways. I started reading it, and it was kind of weird. So I thought I would just read that and make fun of it or something. I don't know. But let's get into it. So I obviously immediately went to go do more research on this and find out who wrote this paper, because scrolling to the very bottom didn't say by somebody, which is the easiest way to find out who wrote a paper, obviously. It doesn't say anything. So I tried to Google the title, but it turns out Google only lets you Google 32 words at a time, which I didn't know before, or maybe I found out and forgot. Point is, I don't think I've ever had to search more than 32 words in a row. Now I have, and I know that Google won't let you. They said no. They said 32 words or less, please. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do more research and try to find out actually where this is from. Maybe I won't. We'll see. We will see. So we get into it, and immediately the writer says, "On one of my visits to New Guinea, I met a young man named Inu whose life story struck me then as remarkable." So I guess it doesn't strike them as remarkable anymore, but it did at the time. It says that Inu had grown up in an area where child rearing was extremely repressive, and children were burdened by obligations and feelings of guilt. They had chores, they had to do stuff this straight away, straight from the womb. They had responsibilities and stuff. And he hated that because he was a kid, obviously. And so by the time he was 5 years old, he said, "I'm done with it. I'm packing up. I'm moving out, moving away from my family and my village and my tribe to another village and tribe with other family members," which is crazy because he was 5 years old. And at 5 years old, like, moving out is not something I was thinking about. Like, maybe I would have if I had the idea, because somebody else definitely gave him the idea. There's no way he was like, "Well, I'll just move out." Like, "I'm moving out." Like, he didn't think of that. He's 5 years old, so he's probably somebody else just gave him the idea. But either way, he's 5 years old. He decides to move into a different village, and it turns out this other village is the exact opposite. Instead of them giving the kids chores, they don't watch the kids at all. It says they found themselves in an adoptive society with laissez-faire child rearing practices, and young children were considered to have responsibility for their own actions and were pretty much allowed to do as they pleased. So that sounds pretty good, right? Like, he knew he had a lot of chores and probably a lot worse things. I'm making light of it for some reason, but now he's in a society where he can do whatever he wants. He's 5 years old. He might go get a career or something. I don't know. He's already moved out. He better go get a job and stuff. But he can do whatever he wants. And the example that it gives for how laissez-faire they are is that if a baby was playing next to a fire, adults did not intervene if it rolled straight into the fire. Which it is a parenting method, I guess. Like, I know people are probably like, yeah, and then the baby knows that the fire's hot and it stays away from the fire. It's like when people just throw a baby into a pool to learn how to swim. Like, they just drown a baby, and I guess it works because babies do learn how to swim that way, like they learn how to float, but they look terrified. Have you ever seen videos of people just drowning babies? I don't like it. Like, if it's your thing, whatever. I don't like watching babies drown, and I don't think I'd like watch a baby roll into a fire either. But it's from a different society, different part of the world. It says that a lot of adults in that society have burn scars, which were legacies of their behavior as infants, which is an interesting word choice. Like, legacy, like they're proud of it. Like, oh, I was kind of a badass as a baby. I crawled into the fireplace. Which, again, if I had done that as a child, of course I would be bringing it up all the time, I'm sure. But is it really a legacy? Are you really that cool because as a baby you rolled over into a fire because you didn't know what you were doing and nobody was watching you, just wait a few years and tell the kid that the fire's hot. They'll learn. It's fine. Like that's how I learned. You don't have to burn yourself. You don't have to roll into a fire to learn that fire's hot. So the writer is not arguing that either of these methods is better than the other, or I mean maybe the one where a baby's not in a fireplace is better, but the other place had chores, so I don't know. It's hard to say. What I mean is they're not trying to argue that it's better than what we do in like Western society or anything. Only that it's worth studying for anthropological and other reasons, other sciencey words and that stuff. Because apparently, like a lot of our studies and pediatricians and everything, it's all based on Western society and well, Western educated, industrial, rich, democratic societies, and that it is worth looking at these other societies to see how they raise their kids and how it affects them and everything. It also says, while few readers of this book, so I guess it's a book, we've discovered that this is actually an entire book. I don't know if 22 pages is the full thing. Also, that it explains why at the end it doesn't say written by Mary or something, because you don't actually do that at the end of a book. It's just going to be on the cover. Uh, I got distracted. What's the point? While few readers of this book would consider it admirable to let children roll into fires, we shall see that many other traditional child rearing practices do recommend themselves for consideration. So maybe the chores is a good idea. Fires, maybe not a good idea. Straight out of the womb chores, good idea. Although your kid might move out really soon. That would suck. Like, a lot of people get sad when the kids move out, and if they moved out at 5, they might get even more upset. Maybe. I'm not a parent. I don't know. I'm not an expert in this at all. I really shouldn't be talking about it, but I'm going to keep talking about it. So the writer's making the argument that maybe we can learn something from what they call small societies, and maybe just because something's tradition or it's been done the same way, that doesn't mean that it's the best way. So I'm not a parent. I don't have any immediate plans of becoming a parent. However, life makes fools of us all, so who knows? Maybe I'll learn something from this. Maybe I will decide to parent my children in a non traditional way, like a better way, you know. So the first topic we get into is childbirth in non-traditional societies, or what's traditional to us. And it's apparently quite common for different groups to have their woman give birth alone. So, like the Kung people of southern African deserts, the woman is expected to walk a few hundred paces away from the camp and just give birth alone. Sometimes it's the first time somebody will go with them, but like the second and third time, they're definitely expected to just do it themselves. I've never given birth. That sounds like it sucks. I wouldn't want to do that. That sucks. A specific example from the Paraha Indians of Brazil, a linguist, Steve Sheldon, was staying with them, and a woman was giving birth on the beach, and it turned out it was a breached birth, so the baby was not coming out, and she was yelling, "Help! Help! I'm dying!" because she was dying, and nobody went to help her, and Steve, he decided maybe I'll go help. He started getting up, and they're like, "Nah, she wants her parents, not you." So he didn't go, I guess, and she died. She died on the beach because that's what happens when you try to give birth alone. Sometimes it's not good. I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that. Maybe you do. I don't. And of course, at the opposite end of the spectrum of a woman dying on a beach alone because that's tradition, is for example the Agta people of the Philippines. I'm probably saying that wrong. Sorry. Where a woman give birth in a house in the camp, and everyone in the camp kind of crowds around, and sometimes they just like shout out instructions to the mother, like push, pull, don't do that, etc. Which again doesn't sound that great. I mean, just a group of people probably don't have the best advice. A lot of them probably gave birth themselves, but it's probably a personal experience. Again, I haven't given birth. I do not know. But I've got to say, if like a dozen people were crowded in the room shouting at me to do different things, bop it, pull it, hit it, whatever, I don't think it would make the experience any better. Maybe the support helps. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're close with everybody and it's good. I don't know. It's weird though. So the next sentence is a bit of a turn. It just immediately goes with infanticide. Infanticide, the intentional killing of an infant. Um, which isn't very fun to talk about, I don't think. They do have some interesting points about how it happens in different societies and hunter gatherer societies. I feel like I've said societies a lot, but that's kind of what we're talking about. Um, and there is some interesting things, but I don't think I'm going to talk about it because it's not very nice to think about, is it? It's divisive as well. It's a reality. It's a reality of the world we live in, as is everything else here. But I don't know why I'm talking about it. I'm kind of questioning this at this point. I think I'm going to wrap up here on page 5 out of 22 of this book. Um, I'm questioning what I was thinking reading this, honestly, but maybe I'll read more of it and talk about it. Maybe I'll actually find out who wrote this and stuff. And maybe I might even post this. Who knows? So, this was interesting, though. I found it interesting. And if you found it interesting, you're weird. What's wrong with you, weirdo? Hey, so I actually did 15 more seconds of research and I found the title of the book. I actually just searched the title header thing again and it worked this time. I think last time I might have just tried to search like half the book or something, which of course that wouldn't work. What was I thinking? Either way, the book's called The Anthropology of Childhood, Cherubs, Chattel, and Changelings by David F. Lancey. It was published in 2008. Um, I feel better knowing that, honestly. 500-page textbook, and it's actually chapter 5 that for some reason I copied and pasted into an untitled document in my Google Drives 5 years ago. So, yeah, in conclusion, I found the document. I still don't know why I saved the document or when. Wait, I do know when. I don't know why. Why would that happen? And I don't think I changed any of my ideas of parenting or anything. But if I see somebody with burn scars, I'm gonna assume that they just rolled into a fire as a baby now, which is probably incorrect. So overall, I don't know if this experience was worthwhile, and it's probably definitely not worthwhile for you if you watch this. So I'm sorry, but have a good day or something.